To make my rainbow spider web, my first step is to put the paper in front of me with the crease going left to right. It's going to be horizontal. And I'm going to trace my horizontal line carefully. Then my next step, I'm going to make just a little dot in the middle of my paper. That's going to be a guide for me. I'm going to start by making a diagonal line, and I'm going to make sure it goes through the dots. I'm just going to kind of practice first before I actually draw. And I don't want it to start in the corner. I want to go a little bit in, and I'm going to go diagonal. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm not going to start at the very corner. I'm going to go a little bit in, diagonal this way. So now I'm ready to start my spider web. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on the inside, and I'm going to make a curved line that curves towards the middle dot. So it's going to go in and connect, and I'm going to go around all the way around on my first part of my spider web. And now I'm ready to make the next section, and remember, I'm curving in towards the dot. Curve in, curve in, curve in, curve in, curve in, and make sure you're trying to connect it with the one you did before. Curve in. And from here I can make one or two more sections. It's really up to you. And I think I'm out of room on mine. I'm going to stop. I am coloring my color wheel spider web in the order of the color wheel: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Now, when I'm using my marker, the cap is always going on the back of my marker. If I'm not using it, it is closed, and I'm making sure it shuts properly, closes properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with red, and I'm coloring carefully. I'm going to try to color from one side to the other side. I'm not going to scribble scrabble it. And I'm not going to color my entire color wheel. I'm going to color the first two inside parts of the color wheel or spider web. Color wheel spider web. Trying to color carefully here. It doesn't have to be totally perfect, but you want a good amount of marker on your paper. So do not color the last two sections or the outside sections. You may have more than two, that's okay. But we're not coloring the whole thing. Now I'm going to finish coloring. So I'm going to paint my spiderweb color wheel, and I'm also going to use salt. And in order for the salt to work, your spiderweb, the paint needs to be wet. So we're going to work on the warm colors first and add salt, and then we're going to work on the cool colors and add salt. Now once you add the salt, you can't start painting on top of it. You have to leave it. So make sure it looks how you want it to look before you add the salt. So I'm going to start with my red. I've dipped my brush in the water, and now I'm going to paint. I'm going to get the middle part wet, and I'm going to paint out towards the edge of the paper. And it's okay if you go off your paper. We can just Wipe the table after. And then when I switch colors, I'm going to give my brush a little bath, and now I'm going to move on to my orange. And I'm painting off of my paper. Keep in mind that marker is going to keep doing its thing. It's going to keep turning into paint. So if it's not spreading out as much as you want, just wait a few minutes. It'll keep doing its thing. Now I'm going to go to yellow, giving my brush a bath. Starting in the middle, painting off of the paper. You want to make sure you use just the right amount of water. You don't want too little water, but you don't want a giant amount of water. I'm going to wet this marker down a little bit to give it a little help over here. Try not to mix it in with the green like I just did. And now I've done my warm color, so I'm going to get a little pinch of salt. And I'm just going to sprinkle it only on the side that I painted. Just a little bit. And now I'm not going to paint over it. I can't paint over it once I put the salt on it. Now I'm going to start on my cool colors. I'm going to work on my green. I'm going to add a little water to the middle to help activate that marker, turn it into paint. Painting off of my paper. Oops, I almost dipped my brush in the salt. I'm going to move that, so I don't want to do that again. Now I'm going to do my blue. Last one. The more water and mixing you do on the marker part, the more it will turn into paint. Now I'm going to do my final step. I'm going to add salt to my cool colors. Just a little sprinkle, and it will create a really cool texture on my paper. And that's the last step. I'm gonna put this on my drying rack and clean my table.